for today's cup of coffee,
we
hope everyone had a wonderful Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the father is not, still on this plane of existence, to think about them or whatever.
Or if you live far away from them, don't have that much contact with them.
And it's like, if you're a man and you don't have kids, you can still be a positive influence in young people's lives. God knows they need them.
Mm-hmm.
So much. There's been so much research done of what happens with kids a lot of times that do not grow up with strong, positive male role models.
Yeah.
So, but we actually had an excellent meal. We had fixed ribs and corn on the cob and baked potatoes and Caesar salad.
We did.
And this family meal, and that is something that's an important thing. And everybody gets busy, and sometimes people are too busy being busy that they miss the important stuff, which is spending time together.
It is.
Praying over your food and stuff while y'all was still out there cooking. It's me, Mom was in there praying. Because Mom and I have many years of experience with prayers.
Yeah.
Lots.
Y'all praying for the world and stuff like that.
Oh, all kinds of things. Yeah. Yeah, that's the first line of defense, is take whatever it is to God. And the story that I have, the article, it was sort of pertinent. And this is from Daily Mail and is by Nikki, Maine. And this was from June the 16th, 2024. Proof of Bible story about angels killing 185,000 soldiers in a night is uncovered after 2,700 years.
Was that Passover?
No, that was a different one. There's quite a few. It's interesting how people view the Bible, and it is probably the most supernatural book ever written about supernatural events and different things like that.
See, I'm not a good Christian because I struggle very much reading in general, especially I struggle reading the Bible. I don't read it that often.
Well, and there's lots of church people, excuse me, a lot of the mainstream churches don't want to deal with the supernatural. And I'm like, then what are you doing?
I mean,
it's all supernatural.
Yeah. Christ himself is supernatural.
Absolutely.
What do
so
you mean?
I don't know what they're doing, which is why I sit on the porch and pray. Go down Mom's and pray. I pray on the telephone, different things like that.
They're the same people that say all ghosts are demons.
Organized religion and I do not get along. We just don't. And it's like I have studied for years and years. And so, anyhow, what they're referencing is from 2 Kings, and I'll have to go in here. I've looked at 2 Kings 19 and verse 35 is the one that this is referencing. And it says, what it was, the Assyrians were attacking the Hebrew people. And not only that, they were mocking Yahweh. You don't. And so
they were mocking
absolutely
their own creator.
Well, they didn't recognize him as such. So this is what happens a lot, and it's like, this is not a philosophical or religious debate or anything like that, because there's other people that's much more trained in apologetics than I am.
I know, but it just boggles my mind.
Well, it does, everybody. And it says on verse 35, that night the angel of the Lord went out and put to death 185,000 in the Assyrian camp. And when the people got up the next morning, there were all the dead bodies. So the king of Assyria, that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, broke camp and withdrew, and he returned to Nineveh and stayed there. Well, yeah, I think that's a pretty good strategy on that.
Yeah.
And so these researchers, and I will put the link to the article because they have pictures and everything's like that, as far as the conclusion that they, reached and how they reached the conclusion. This is not just somebody saying, oh, we think we found. These people have been very thorough in this, and as far as the carvings and different things. But it's always a really cool thing, and this happens more often than not, as far as finding archaeological evidence of scriptural events.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it's like my allergies have been crazy today. And you've got people that they still, no matter how much evidence is there, they're going to reject it. That's just how that works. But for one angel to be able to do this, and that was something that Kid and I, we've discussed this. Whatever these beings are. Now, the term angel simply means messenger, and there are ranks of these beings, according to Scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, as far as what the AI art, the Wombo
wing,
everything that I put in there is no scriptural basis as far as angels, any of them being female. The ones that are mentioned in Scripture are male.
Right.
And so what the AI get, it looks like something out of Marvel comics or something like that. Because we have no concept of what these creatures truly look like.
No. And we don't even know if they necessarily have a sex of sorts.
We don't.
I don't really think that a lot of them do necessarily. I think it's both masculine and feminine energy in one.
So that our society has become so perverse and so twisted.
That was intentional.
About what is between somebody's legs or not, that this is a perversion. That in itself, that basic foundation has become perverted.
Yeah.
And go back to the story about Sodom and Gomorrah, where the angels went there and the men of the town wanted to defile these beings, and they were struck blind. People don't want to hear that. But within this, whatever, and that these beings do not appear to humans often. They can appear in human form, but usually when they appear in human form, whoever sees them are fear-stricken.
Right.
And sometimes they sort of face plant.
Yeah, but is that when they're appearing as their just natural state, or is that the human form that they're taking on?
Well, if it looked just like a human. Now, in Scripture, there was told as far as, them appearing as just people. Then there's other times as far as them being angelic, such as during the Annunciation of Christ's birth. The angel of the Lord appeared, and the shepherds were sore afraid. Of course, you've got this being that's in the sky. So, yeah, these shepherds out here, and then there were other ones with this one. A host, a heavenly host. That means lots of them. But some of the other ones, even as far as when the angel appeared to Mary, that was the first thing. Do not be afraid.
Yeah.
And some of the people that they say that they are extremely tall.
The tallest?
I don't know. But this is something as far as these little willowy, wispy things. I think that there has been some kind of confusion between angels and fairies or something like that.
Those little wispy things, those are different spirits, not angels.
Right.
Now some of those angels, I don't know. From what I've heard, they look very scary.
Yeah.
Like they look like these multi-winged, multi-eyed.
Well, that's
some of them. That's not all of them. That's just a certain rank of some of them.
That could be this person. Whatever these beings are is so far beyond human comprehension that these people were just trying to describe what they were experiencing the best they could.
Mm-hmm. But with the internet now, no joke. Like, yeah, it would freak someone out, like for a bit. But where people do their best to try to emulate what some of them look like online, like through art or video games or something like that, would it be that terrifying for people to see them now?
Yes, because I don't think it's just the appearance. I think it has to do with the vibration and frequency of these beings.
I think that's truly what makes people, face plant.
But I mean, like I said, if you've got a 9, 10 or more foot tall being,
I mean, that would definitely, that in of itself
that just
would
suddenly
shake
appears.
You. That in of itself would shake you. It really would.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
And this
you'd run.
This one instance is not the only instance in Scripture as far as these angels taking out quite a few people at one time. It's not.
No.
So this is not these are not your kinder, friendlier, gentler angels. As far as when they need to do what they need to do for God's purpose, they will do it, and they're very efficient at it. There's definitions sometimes of them having like a flaming sword. So that's pretty odd.
Yeah.
But, these armies, I mean, and this 180-some thousand, and that wasn't all of the army. I was looking to see if I had the correct number on that. I think I did. Yeah, 185,000 overnight.
Damn.
Overnight.
Damn. That's... if that doesn't wake someone up to the fact that God's real.
Right.
The
power of this, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to piss off God. Now, we understand that God is not, for the average person or whatever, it's like love, compassion, forgiveness. But it's also one of those, does he do what he needs to do? Yeah. Yeah. And it's like Kid and I were talking also as far as the Nephilim and the fallen angels who rebelled against God, which that totally blows our mind. We can't even fathom why. And Mom and I were discussing earlier also about King Saul, because the people cried out for a king. Instead of letting Yahweh be their king, they wanted to be like everybody else and have a king. And he's like, okay, if you do this, this will happen. He'll take your money. He'll send your children into war, all these different things. And they still said, oh, yes, we want a king.
What sense does that make?
It makes no sense, because they wanted to be like everybody else. They wanted a physical representation of power.
Well, first of all,
instead of having the ultimate power. First of all, what?
Yahweh is king of all kings.
Mm-hmm.
And but more than that, he's our father.
Powerade slurp. Yes. But you've got people that do not recognize that. Like I said, when you truly study Scripture, it's very broad and it's very deep. And this is where, like I said, Michael Heiser was invaluable. Chuck Missler. You've got some of these people that other ones kind of like fringe Christianity. No, it's really there. If you've got somebody that's not showing you what is truly there in Scripture, that's what's fringe. That's the reason that you've got people that are ignorant. And then you've got other people that are ignorant going out and spreading other ignorance. Which is, it's like, oh God. I mean, it's one of those that we're told to study and make yourselves approved. But it's all supernatural. And it all has to do with these beings that are beyond our understanding. But there's a gentleman, his name is Ken Johnson, that has translated some of these books that are not... They're not canon. They're not included in the original Scripture. That doesn't mean that they're invalid. He has, he's not just random dude. I mean, he does have degrees in all this stuff, but part of the reason people reject, Scripture, they're like, oh, God's a big meanie. He goes out here and he kills people. There were reasons. Mm-hmm. When the Nephilim came down and they, mated with the human women, what they did, and it produced the Nephilim, that was tainting the DNA of humans as God designed them. Not only that, but during the time of Saul, God had told him this one, whatever area, to go in there and kill everything, including the animals, all of it. And you're like, well, why? Well, Ken Johnson, and if I can find it, I'll put it in the description box. If not, you can go through there and, look and see one of the books that he had translated. He's translated lots of them. But that the fallen angels didn't just screw up the DNA of humans, but also other animals. So it makes perfect sense when God said, go in there and wipe out everything, because he didn't want it crossbreeding with what he had created.
Yeah.
We've got shit going on today that's the same fallen angel mess.
Is that how...
They're messing with the DNA as God created it to be.
Is that how we ended up with platypuses?
I don't think so.
Platypi?
I don't think so. No, this was something else.
Chupacabras.
Well, chupacabras, that's something. You've got these. We don't know what has been cooked up in some of these labs. This has been going on for a long period of time.
There's so much shit that we have no idea about.
Right. Right. But with this story, God has a limit. And people don't understand that. He's long-suffering. He's not ever suffering. And that one angel could take out that many people in a night.
What do you mean ever suffering? What do you mean by that?
He's long-suffering. That means he's got a lot of patience.
Oh, yeah.
He will not tolerate some of this stuff forever.
Okay. See, I didn't know what you were talking about,
right.
Like long suffering, ever suffering. I was like, what does he just... So it's like prolonged suffering, but it's not forever?
No. You are totally... Kids had a headache, so I'm going to cut him some slack. But no, he is a very patient being.
He is, but he has his limits too.
Yes, he does. When he has had enough... And that's one of those that it's like,
you up by your wig and all that.
Yeah, And it's like, because there's a lot of us that's like, how long, oh Lord, how long? Because we see this stuff that is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, perilous times. But like I said, I thought this was really interesting that they had found the archaeological. They've found lots of stuff that, yes, Scripture is valid. It's not something that somebody there. When you really listen to some of these people that can explain how supernatural Scripture is in and of itself, it's incredible. And like I said, Chuck Misler was really, really good on a lot of that stuff. Even as far as he discussed, are we living in a matrix? Yeah.
What was his opinion?
Yes. This world is not our home.
It's hot.
It's right there.
Lord,
It's
break
right
down this matrix.
there.
Break down this matrix.
So, final thoughts, kid?
May the matrix fall. And then
At some point it will. At some point it will.
Because all those entities, as soon as this place is gone, hopefully they'll be gone too.
Well, that's what
all the
we've
negative,
wondered.
all the evil.
That's what we've wondered is evil was, the Satan, the fallen angels and stuff like that. Was it a form almost of a computer virus? If we are in a simulation.
Could be.
We don't know. Anyhow.
It's like, okay, how did that even happen?
Well, like I said, we do the best we can to interpret what is written. It's sad that you have to explain to some people that English is not the original language of the Bible.
No, it's Hebrew.
Well, it was Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. And even with Hebrew, there was the Hebrew that's there, and then there was a Paleo-Hebrew, that the Hebrew language was lost for like 500 years and then reclaimed. And that's where you get into listening to somebody like Frank Seekins.
Oh.
And so there's so many resources now that can explain these things. But like I said, I miss Michael Heiser. There's not a day, I don't think, that passes that I don't think about him. Because he was so brilliant, and I would love for him to help me understand more about what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
God took him for a reason.
He did.
Yeah. And I pray for his family.
If only... but the thing is, to our knowledge, there's not even another one like him that has the same amount of knowledge.
Well,
and that can interpret it in the way that he could.
He was incredible because he was, he just ballsy because he knew his stuff.
Yeah.
He knew it, and he talked about the unseen realm. You know.
He did.
Wrote several books about it. I mean, Bible scholar, deep Bible scholar that had been on Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM more than once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's so cool, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you've had experiences with paranormal or supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, tinfoil hats, if you know of one of these wonderful Bible scholars and stuff that I'm not aware of, because I'm sure there's other ones out there. I have heard some of the young people that are emphasizing the supernatural. Jimmy Aiken, now he Catholic, he take it from a Catholic perspective, but he still discusses stuff from an academic angle that is fascinating.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff, you can put that in the comment section. Send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And the email address is there in the description box, and I'll put the link to the article. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. If you like this video, don't forget to like. Did you already do it?
No, that's yours. Just do your thing. Do your outro.
Ooh,
God
woo.
love him.
Ooh, woo. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, most of all subscribe, and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Check her out on BitChute, Rumble, anywhere else other than X.
No, that's it.
You were on
BitChute,
Odyssey.
Rumble.
You were on Odyssey.
I
once
was,
upon a
and
time.
it's like I had no traction on Odyssey, and my people they just went their own way, and it was there for a season, and they knew that I was on BitChute and Rumble and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
People come and people go, and you plant seeds, and you do the best you can.
Yeah.
But the X thing, if you want to tell them what the X handle is.
Orlando, COCWS. It's like a radio station call sign, so it's pretty easy to remember.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have fun over there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got people that I handpicked that are really, really cool that I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
So know that you are loved. And just think, question, have an open mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and if you've got the evidence and you still reject it, ain't nothing much anybody can do about that.
Nah.
You too could have a supernatural encounter, which is what happened with us. Now, I've talked about that before.
You know, even if I fall flat on my face, I would like to see an angel.
I've learned there's some things I have felt their presence before. I have known that they were. And that was that was another experience from 2013, and I was driving and I did not see them, but I had this awareness and this knowledge that there was row upon row upon row of these beings just waiting to be given the word. I knew that.
The word to fight?
Yeah, to do something, whatever God was going to tell them to do, that they were just waiting. And their understanding and perception of time is different than ours. So where that was 11 years ago for me, it could have been just a second for them. But they were there. And like I said, I had one pick me up by the back of the neck that time. Did I see it? No. Mm-hmm. Didn't need to. But I will tell you, as far as him picking me up off the back of the neck and that, inner voice, go home now, because I was that big of a dumbass. Yeah.
But God understands.
The only claim to fame I have is like the Apostle Paul, chief among sinners. I know where I've been. I know who it was that brought me out of what I was doing. And that's why I will never judge anybody else. Mm-hmm. How could I? Anyhow.
I would still like to I would like to feel their presence. Yeah. I know it's intimidating.
It is. It's intense.
I would still like to feel it.
Yeah.
Just as a reassurance.
Sure.
Like, okay, you're there. You're there.
I get it. I get it. But it's one of those that there are times they're there in that specific way when it's needed. Yeah.
But they're always around us.
Sure. Sure. Anyhow, know that you are loved.
Yes. Have a good.
Treat other people the way that you would like to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.